Time now for The Real World with Lee Anderson, Westminster's toughest talking MP. And more than 3,500 illegal migrants have crossed the Channel to England in this month alone, but we're no closer to stopping the invasion. Not least after the government axed plans to physically turn away boats in the water. So Home Office Minister Robert Jenrick previously said there were only limited circumstances in which the, quote, pushback tactics would be used to physically drag away dinghies. But the proposals are now completely scrapped. So, Lee, lots of folk are going to say, again, this is your party giving up on truly trying to stop the boats, because I've been saying for 2 years that pushback is necessary. It's not the only tactic, it's not the only thing that's going to work, but it needs to be part of a smorgasbord of measures.
It's one of the many tactics the Australians use, as you know, Dan. Something I've supported like yourself for over 2 years. I don't know why we're not brave enough or why we're not manning up to do this. Look, I've met the Home Secretary and the previous Home Secretary to talk about pushbacks. For some reason, they seem reluctant to do it. But look, you know, what's the consequence of not doing this, Dan? Again, we've got hundreds and hundreds of young men arriving on our shores this week. Where are they going? They're going to Manston. They're going straight into hotels, dispersed into the community. It's an absolute... Honestly, I cannot apologise enough, Dan, for this. It's my government, it's my party that's doing this. I don't support my party and government on this. They're on notice. The public's got them on notice. I think there's some MPs in the Conservative Party got them on notice on this. It's absolutely shocking. They need to man up, get a grip and sort this out and start turning these boats back.
Because even since our last conversation last week, Lee, we've learned 40,000 are still being housed in hotels. So that's not only £7 million a day in terms of the cost, but think of what that's doing to the local communities like Skegness, but up and down the country, where tourists can't come, where businesses are being destroyed, where people are having weddings cancelled and events cancelled. This is actually starting to destroy the fabric of community.
It's affecting an old hospitality industry, DJs as well. You know, they've been weddings. Look, in France, we see these people living in tents and cardboard boxes and living in the jungle. Yet when they come to England, they're in a hotel. They're ferried straight off to a four-star hotel. They're making the TikTok videos, they're complaining if they haven't got Wi-Fi, they're getting feedback forms for their food. It's an absolute disgrace. Like I say, Dan, I come on here every week. I'm in the chamber every week banging on about this. It's disgraceful. I feel sick. When these boats turn up on our shores, I feel absolutely sick. What are we playing at? Come on, government, sort this out.
And that's the illegal side, Lee. But then the other bombshell this week actually relates to the legal net migration figures at a record number, 504,000. That's unpalatable to your constituents, isn't it?
Massively. I mean, we promised to be the party to be tough on immigration. We introduced a points-based immigration system, which would allow the best and the brightest in. I don't always agree with that, Dan. But look, 500,000 people coming in. I've got constituents who can't get a doctor's appointment, they can't see a dentist, they can't get on the social housing list. And what we're saying, we're trying to grow the economy by increasing immigration. What a load of rubbish that is. We need to sort it out. There's enough people in this country actually unemployed, out of work, on the door, whatever you call it, to fill the labour shortage. But we're not brave enough and we haven't got the guts to do it.
We've got to get the figures down to the tens of thousands, don't we? That's the only way that we can cope. And the thing is, you've got a Home Secretary who I know believes in that passionately.
She does believe in it, Dan, but you know, we bang on about this net zero journey, for this net zero nonsense. Let's have a net zero immigration. You know, one in, one out. If we've got a skills shortage, let's go to the labour force. We've got plenty on the dole in this country that need jobs or need forcing into the workplace.
So you say tens of thousands is actually too many?
I think it's too many.
We need to do net zero migration.
There's going to come a point in time, in 20, 30, 40, 50 years' time, when our children and grandchildren are going to say, Dad, Grandad, why didn't you sort this out? You know, we're full, we can't get a house, we can't get a doctor's appointment, we can't get a school place. You let this happen, we've let this happen, we should be ashamed of ourselves.
The other thing is, Lee, it would be hugely politically popular. It could actually be the way for the Tories to win the next election, because we know, no matter what he says, and I was just saying to Nigel before the break, Keir Starmer, you know, he's giving all of these interviews to the right-wing press, trying to make it look like he's tough on Brexit and tough on the borders. What absolute rubbish. We know that at his soul, Keir Starmer is a Ramona who believes in open borders. Lee, he spent years saying that we had to do free movement with the EU. So we cannot trust Labour. This would be the way for the Tories to actually win against all odds.
This is low-hanging fruit, this is. We can really go to town on this. And you quite rightly say, that Sir Keir, he was promoting open borders, free movement. Now, all of a sudden, he's tough on migration.
Yeah.
What a load of nonsense that is.
Well, it might be, but he's playing a blinder politically.
Oh, he played a blinder,
I mean,
yeah.
I totally disagree, and I don't believe him, but he is playing a blinder politically. But look, speaking of great politicians, it's the birthday today of Sir Winston Churchill, one of our greatest Britons ever, probably the greatest, although I think Queen Elizabeth II does come close. However, in recent years, we've seen nothing but disrespect of our World War II leader who saved us from Hitler. Here's a reminder.
Churchill was obsessed with his hatred for Indians.
I'm glad you're happy to promote as well as support and champion a racist.
Winston Churchill's legacy. Spoiler alert, the man was a white supremacist racist.
What is this about? Why are the left so obsessed with demonising the man who saved us from the clutches of Nazism?
The left, Dan, they hate our history, they hate our culture, they hate people like Sir Winston here. What they need dragging into a classroom, get a good history lesson to teach them about what actually Sir Winston did for this country. Look, in 1940, when that place over there was against him, he fought the establishment, he fought Parliament, he fought the whole of Europe, and he dragged us through that war. And without Sir Winston, Dan, we would speak in German today. God forbid that.
I know, exactly. It's very true. Now, Lee, I also want to talk about trouble in the Labour Party.
Yes.
Owen Jones, he's the left-wing agitator, obviously on the hard left of the party. He's at war with Keir Starmer over the selection process, right, about how you get MPs. Now, of course, you used to be a Labour councillor.
Yes.
You say now someone like you wouldn't be palatable.
We wouldn't, Dan. I mean, look at the boxes I tick. I'm white, I'm working class, I'm quite normal, I'm from the area that I represent. Labour Party don't want people like me. Actually, Owen Jones, I've got a little respect for at all. I think he's a bit of a political nuisance. But actually, I think he's a little bit right on this subject because the Labour Party, they look to tick boxes. They don't look for the right candidate in the right area. And that's why, traditionally, they've been in a mess. I think they've actually scrapped now the all-women shortlist. I don't know how that's going to pan out with Eddie Izzard, though, when he stands in Sheffield. But again, they will ship candidates in from all over the country. I know they will. I'm still waiting to see which candidate they've got in Ashfield, but it won't be a working class person from Ashfield. It'll be some Ramona, some activist, somebody who's never had a proper job in the real life. They're in a bit of a mess, but like you said previously, Sir Keir is pandering to the right-wing press at the moment, but I don't think they'll get the selection process right at all.
And speaking of Ramona's coming back, David Miliband clearly going to be shepherded into a Labour safe seat.
This is a man who campaigned to be leader. He was slagging off people earning 500 grand, slagging off bankers and people on high salaries. He then went to earn goodness knows what, $1 million a year working for a charity which, by the way, still is getting British taxpayers' money. The man's a hypocrite. Bring him back to Ashfield. Let him stand against me.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, get him here.
I'd get the popcorn out for that one. Yeah, and also, by the way, the ultimate Ramona. So if he is back in the cabinet, I think we know that Brexit is under serious threat under a Keir Starmer administration. But look, King of the North, Lee Anderson, the Conservative MP for Ashfield. Thank you so much, Lee.